in the previous part, we have already created a deployment file, and we have three deployments, one service and one ingress. And the next part is that we need to create OIDC association. So if I go to the access part here, you will see that there is OIDC identity providers and there is IAM access entries as well. So what I mean is that from here, the Kubernetes cluster will require you to create more Fargate, more Fargate IPs, and if required, some more pods, or some more service or some more ingress. So we need to give the cluster permission to create all of these things, and one way is to do that is using OIDC. So what OIDC means is that OIDC is a way of implementing the role-based access control, and it is a standard authentication protocol which is supported by Kubernetes. We can also we are in this video we'll be using IAM, but you can use other identity providers as well, such as OAuth 2, to allow the cluster to create the resources based on the user's behalf. So since AWS is an inbuilt role access control system, so we'll be using IAM. The advantage is that IAM will allow users to assume roles dynamically, granting temporary and least privileged permissions. So this will avoid storing long-lived credentials and improve security. So we will need to create a new IAM policy, a new IAM service account, and we need to map that with the cluster so that it can easily create more resources based on the requirement. So I in my repository there is an IAM policy JSON. So all of these permissions are required to by the cluster. So I've already mentioned them, and it is present in the AWS documentation as well. So we need to create a new policy, and firstly we'll also need to enable the OIDC association with IAM. So we can write the command EKS ETL utils associate IAM OIDC policy provider cluster name, which is drawing app, and approve. And now we need to create the IAM policy on our account. So we can write AWS IAM create policy, policy name. If you're wondering where I'm watching on my second screen, and writing the commands which are present on my GitHub profile, so you can access them as well. And I'm mentioning the name as demo cluster policy, and I have to specify the policy document, which is file IAM under policy.json, and I need to mention the cluster. No, cluster is not required here. So if I press enter now, see, a new policy has been created, and we need to create the IAM service account. So I'll just right click here, and as you see, we have this command EKSCTL create IAM service account cluster name drawing app. I need to change the name. We are using namespace which is a cube system, and we have defined the name as load balancer controller, and we are giving it a role name as Amazon EKS load balancer controller role. So I'll write one here as well because I've already created that role, and we need to attach the policy on. So we need to get your account ID. So to get the account ID, you can go here and get the account ID, paste, yes, and you can approve this. Okay, so now it is creating the IAM service account, and it will map to the cluster. So again, this was the deployment file, this was the policy file, and now we have created the IAM service account. And as soon as this will be created, I'll end the video and I'll end this part. And in the next part, we'll be configuring the ingress controller. And as you might know, if in the previous part we didn't have any address IP for the ingress, so we'll be configuring that, and we can access our application. So now it is created, and I'll see you in the next part.